Hello students, I hope you are all fine and in good health. In this audio presentation, I will be discussing the chapter The Portrait of a Lady by Khushwant Singh, and it is a PPT, and here I will be discussing some of the important meanings related with this chapter. Along with that, I will be discussing a few important points also that is related with this chapter, and the most important thing, I will be discussing something about the life of the author Khushwant Singh. So dear students, let's start. See, at the beginning it is written The Portrait of a Lady, and then it is written by Khushwant Singh. Now I am scrolling it a bit down. You can see it is written about the author. Now let us read something about Khushwant Singh. It will be much more easier for us to understand this particular story if we get to know something related with the author of this story. Some background information related with the author will ultimately help us to gather more information and also to clear our concept related with this chapter, The Portrait of a Lady. Now dear students, as you can see, the heading has been given about the author. Now let us read something about Khushwant Singh. Khushwant Singh was an Indian writer and journalist. He was born in 1915 and he died in the year 2014. He was born in a prosperous Sikh family and spent his childhood in Hadali and Delhi, where his father and grandfather were involved in building construction. After he graduated in the year 1934 from Government College Lahore, now in Pakistan, he studied law at King's College London and at London's Inner Temple, where in 1938 he qualified as a barrister. So we know him as a well-known author, but apart from being a well-known author, he was also a lawyer, or rather you can all say he was also a barrister by profession. He practiced law in Lahore until the partition. When he moved to Delhi with his family, he joined the Indian Foreign Service, that in short we refer as IFS. I am scrolling a bit down because some more important information is there about Khushwant Singh. Singh began writing short fiction, or you can say short stories, while serving in diplomatic posts in London and Ottawa. His first short story collection, and here I quote the name of the book, The Mark of Vishnu and Other Stories, was published in London in 1950. Singh's literary output included such non-fiction books as The Six. He served as editor of the Illustrated Weekly of India from 1969 to 1978 and of the daily newspaper Hindustan Times from 1980 to 1983. He held a seat in the Rajya Sabha, that is from 1980 to 1986, that is the upper house of the parliament. Singh was later conferred with the prestigious Padma Bhushan Award in 2007. So this is in short all about Khushwant Singh. Remember, he was born in a prosperous Sikh family. He graduated in the year 1934. his father and his grandfather, they were all involved in construction business or building construction. He later went to London to study law at the King's College, and in 1938 he qualified as a barrister. Before partition, he was in Lahore in Pakistan, where he did his practice as a lawyer. Later, after partition, he and his family members, they came to India. Particularly, he and his family members, they moved to Delhi, and he joined the Indian Foreign Service, and he started writing short fiction. And The Mark of Vishnu and Other Stories was first published, written by him in 1950. Apart from that, he served as the editor of the Illustrated Weekly of India and of the prestigious newspaper Hindustan Times, as you all know about it. Even he was the member of the parliament. He was the member of the Rajya Sabha, and later, as I had concluded a bit earlier, in the year 2007, he was conferred with the Padma Vibhushan Award. That is a very prestigious award. Now, let us come to some of the vocabulary. Dear students, as I told you, some word meanings or vocabulary is very important. We have to know about few word meanings and vocabularies. So let's start with this, because the first part of the discussion related with Khushwant Singh, that part been done. Now I am moving on to the vocabulary segment. Vocabulary segment, some of the important meanings and are being discussed here. The first one is mantelpiece. What exactly is this? Mantelpiece is actually a structure of wood, marble or stone above and around a fireplace. Revolting means that is something unpleasant. Absurd means something that is illogical. Crisscross, a pattern of intersecting straight lines. Hobbled, actually hobbled means to walk in an awkward way or to roam aimlessly, more or less. That is the meaning of the term hobbled. Stoop, stoop means to bend one's body forward. Rosary, remember grandmother used to keep one of her hand on her waist, and on the other hand she used to hold the beads of rosary, as been stated in the text. Now, what is the meaning of the term rosary? Rosary is actually a string of beads for keeping count on number of chants made of a religious prayer. Now, holding these beads of rosary every time in her hand suggested that she was deeply religious and she was a bit conservative also. Locks means hair. Untidily means not neat. Puckered means a face contrast into wrinkles, because she was very weak and she was a bit old also, and that is the reason. Remember, I guess you all have remembered the term been used in the text is pale and puckered. Okay, that is a face full of wrinkles. Remember it. Serenity is something, it is a state of being calm and peaceful. That state is known as serenity. An expanse of pure white serenity, it refers to the calm, relaxed and peaceful character of the author's grandmother. So because as I told you, she was actually an embodiment of purity. She was very calm, she used to be relaxed every time, and whoever is to be in contact with her, they also used to feel very calm, very relaxed. Now there are other vocabulary. Let me come to that. This part also I will be discussing from the text, but let me discuss the meanings, then it will be easier for you all when I will be discussing the text. you will be able to know all these meanings in advance, and that will be very helpful for all of you to grasp the idea of the story. So lewd association means something that is indecent or obscene. Harlots means prostitutes. Gentlefolk means people of noble birth. A veritable bedlam of chirping, here it refers to the noise and confusion caused by the chirping of the sparrows. Frivolous, not having any serious purpose or something that is light-hearted. Rebuke means when we scold someone in a very light-hearted manner, that is known as rebuke. Sagging means sinking downwards. Dilapidated, something that is almost ruined. Semi-ruined state. I repeat, semi-ruined state, or it is something we can say state of despair also. Omitted means leave out or exclude something. Crude means in a natural state, roughly made. Blaze actually means a very large burning fire. Actually, the setting of the evening sun been described as with the term blaze. Dear students, this term you will find at the very end of the text. When I will be discussing the text, at that time I will be referring to this line. Actually, this is been referred to the blazing setting sun during the evening time. Shroud means a piece of cloth used to cover or used to wrap a dead person, that is known as shroud, or you can say blanket also at the same time. Now those are the word meanings. Now I am moving on to the third segment of my discussion. As you can say, as you can see, it is written introduction. That means an intro related with this story. Though I have already given a link related with the introduction and the short summary, but let us rewind it once again. Let us revise it once again. Slight change I have made here that will be helpful for you also. So see, I have written at the top introduction. So let us move on with this. It is written, the portrait of a lady gives us a picture of human relationship in a joint family. Now this is very important. Human relationship, specifically the relationship between the grandmother and the grandson, that is Khushwant Singh's grandmother and Khushwant Singh. It is a realistic account of how the grandparents give all their time, attention and love to their grandchildren. Okay, now obviously we get all these moral values. Okay, love for parents, love, affection, compassion, all these moral values we get from this chapter. And not only that, it is also a realistic account of how the grandparents give all their time, attention and love to their grandchildren. That is something very much noteworthy. That is something that is one of the most important hallmark of this particular chapter or of this particular lesson. In this lesson, that is in this chapter, the portrait of a lady, the author describes his relationship with his grandmother over the years. So it was not a relationship that started and that got over in a single day. It was for a long time, step by step. So it was a relationship that spanned for almost you can say 20 to 25 years more or less. He pens down her daily activities and how she evolved as a character as time passed by. Now, as I told you, the grandmother is one of the most important character, one of the nucleus in this particular story. If you want to describe it in that way, she is the nucleus of this particular story. The entire story revolves around the grandmother. He explains her appearance, which helps create an image in the reader's mind. And as I told you earlier in the live class, that as you will go through this particular story, as you will go through this particular chapter, you will develop an emotional connection and emotional attachment with Khushwant Singh's grandmother. And this line is very important. I am referring to this line once again. He explains her appearance, which helps create an image in the reader's mind. In other words, the story is the loving tribute from a grandson to a grandmother. As I told you, it's a homage made by Khushwant Singh to his grandmother. Or in other words, it is a story which deals with the paying of a loving tribute by a grandson to his grandmother. So that is the intro part. Now I am coming on to the fourth segment of my audio discussion related with the gist of the story. Now point wise I have discussed it so that you may feel interested in listening to it. See point number 1, but before that you see I have written at the top gist. Now the first point, okay, life of the author in village with his grandmother, very important. The grandmother was an old woman with a wrinkled face. We know it. We know that she was old, terribly old. She was old and wrinkled, and it was hard for Khushwant Singh to believe that once upon a time she was young and pretty, and she had a husband. Even she had children also. Very hard for Khushwant Singh to believe, because now at the present juncture, when Khushwant Singh saw her and he found her face to be old and wrinkled, and the most interesting part, as you know, dear students, that for the past 20 years she looked exactly the same. The author had always seen her like this for the past 20 years. She appeared to be so old that he could not imagine her being young and pretty, as I already told you. Someone who had a husband. She was short, fat and slightly bent. She was a bit short in her height. She was a bit bulky and slightly bent in her physical posture, as we can say. The author had seen his grandfather's portrait, an old man with a turban and a long white beard covering the best part of his chest. To the author, the grandfather didn't seem like a man who could have a wife and children, but someone who could have lots of grandchildren. Now, because remember one thing, this particular chapter is related with Khushwant Singh's grandmother, where Khushwant Singh pays a tribute to his grandmother, but the first paragraph of this chapter dealt with Khushwant Singh's grandfather also a bit. And it seems that it is very hard to imagine that once he was a handsome guy, once he got married, once he had children. These things are very difficult to imagine, considering her portrait that was kept on the mantelpiece, okay, in the drawing room near the fireplace. It was very hard to imagine that once he had a wife, he had children. But the one thing that is very easier to imagine and very easier to relate, that this man can have lots and lots of grandchildren, because it seems that he was a grand old man. He looks like a grand old man. Okay. Now, dear students, let me move on. I guess it is clear to all of you by now. So, grandfather's portrait and old man, very important this part also, as I told in the live class also, very important this part for your objective questions. Okay, I mean a brief sketch related with Khushwant Singh's grandfather, and very important part also related with MCQ questions also. So, an old man with a turban and a long white beard covering his chest. To the author, his grandfather didn't seem like a man who could have a wife and children, but someone who could have lots and lots of grandchildren. That is the reason I told you all. He looked like as if he was the grand old man. His grandmother used to move around the house in spotless white salwar with one hand resting on her waist and the other hand counting the beads of her rosary. That was her daily routine. Now the second important point that I am moving on, author's early days in village with his grandmother. Remember, their friendship by now was inseparable. Later it got snapped as they both went to the city to live. So let me continue with this particular point. In the as I told you that by point wise I will be highlighting the plot summary or the gist of the story one by one with the help of points. So let me continue. In the initial days, the author and his grandmother had a very good relationship. She used to wake him up and get him ready for school. She used to pack the things required by him for the day and accompanied him to school every day. So it was a daily routine been done by Khushwant Singh's grandmother. She used to visit the temple that was attached to the school. She had a routine of reading the scriptures. The author, along with other children, sat on the veranda singing alphabets and morning prayers. And as I told you that the temple priest was the teacher also. So on one hand he used to give religious lessons, on the other hand he used to teach the little children or the small children alphabets and morning prayers. They both used to come back home together with stray dogs roaming around them, as his grandmother would carry the stale chapatis to feed them. She used to feed them chapatis while she used to take Khushwant Singh for school, and while they used to come back from school she used to feed the dogs once again few remaining stale chapatis. And as you know, the dogs, they used to fight among themselves for a single piece of bread. Now the next important part I have highlighted by writing turning point in the relationship, very important. Okay, so let's move on. The parents of the author settled in the city and called them. As they reached, his relationship with his grandmother took a turn. Though they shared the same room, their bond grew apart. Slowly and slowly, their friendship got snapped, as I told you earlier. He started going to an English medium school. She no longer accompanied him to his school, because in the village, she always used to accompany Khushwant Singh to school. But in the city, Khushwant Singh used to go to an English medium school in a motor bus. Okay. She, however, used to ask him about his day and what he had learned. She didn't understand the subjects that were taught in the school, and also she could help him, because Western science and education was something that was beyond her knowledge. She had practically no idea, and that is the reason she couldn't help Khushwant Singh in his studies. She didn't approve of the new syllabus, especially the music lesson which was being imparted to the child. She thought that they did not teach him about God, and the scriptures, they saw less of each other. Even apart from that, according to her, she was very backdated in her mentality. She was very primitive in her mentality. She, according to her, music is for the prostitutes, and it is for the inferior section of the society. It is not something that should be practiced by the genteel section of the society. That was her concept. This shows that she was neither progressive nor she was very free and frank. It seems that she was very rigid in her mentality, and she was very religious and conservative, as I told you, and she was also upset because there was no teaching related with God and the Holy Scriptures. Okay. Now I am moving on to the next segment. See, it is written, activities of the grandmother when the author studied in university. Remember their gap of friendship. It was getting stressed more and more, and the sweet bond of friendship that they had, it was already broken. Finally, when Khushwant Singh went to London to study law, it was completely broken. So let me continue. As the days passed, he grew older and soon went to the university. He had his own room, and this made their relationship sour. Obviously, because in the university, Khushwant Singh used to stay in a boys' mess or in a boys' hostel. Now, slowly and slowly, there was a distance between both of them. She stopped talking to everyone and spent her whole day sitting at her spinning wheel, reciting prayers and moving beads of the rosary with one hand. However, in the afternoon, she loved feeding sparrows in the veranda. She used to be in her own world. Okay, she used to behave rather, dear students. I like to say that she used to behave like an introvert. She used to be in her own world, as I told you a bit earlier. And what was her daily activities? She used to involve herself in spinning wheel, spinning the charkha or the wheel. She used to recite prayers because she was very much religious, and obviously she used to count the beads of rosary. But the happiest half an hour of her day used to come when she used to break the pieces of bread and she used to feed the sparrows. That was the happiest half an hour of the day for her. The birds would sit on her legs, her head, and some even on the shoulders. The birds, they would sit on her legs, on her head, and some even on the shoulders. But remember one thing, she never used to drive them away. She never used to shoo them away. Now the author went abroad, and obviously she came to the railway station to see him off or to leave him off. Remember, she was not emotional. She haven't cried at that time also. She went on continuously recited her prayer. Her mind was completely lost in prayers. And what she did? She kissed the author on the forehead. After 5 years, when Khushwant Singh returned back again from London, he found his grandmother exactly like the one that she was 5 years earlier when she came to see him off at the railway station. There was hardly any change in her. See, it is written, she was still the same as she had been 5 years ago. She clasped him. Clasp is the root word. It means to hold someone very tightly, embrace someone very tightly, as we do embrace our loved ones, our near and dear ones. In the same way, she embraced her within her arms, but she didn't say a word. When they came back home, she still used to feed the sparrows, the same habit that Khushwant Singh saw before he went abroad. After 5 years, when he came from abroad, he found his grandmother feeding on the sparrows in the same way. Now I am moving on to the penultimate phase. Okay, the last phase of the grandmother. One day she didn't recite her prayers, but instead collected the women of the neighborhood, got a dilapidated drum, that is a semi-ruined drum, and she went on singing. She started singing. The next morning she was ill with mild fever. The doctor said that there was nothing to worry about, but she was sure that her end was near. When the doctor did his diagnosis, he came to the conclusion that there is nothing to worry. She was having a mild fever, but according to her, she thought no, her end was near and she was passing through the final stage, or rather to say, she was passing through the final phase of her life. And what she did, from that point of view, she was already an introvert. From that point of view, she stopped talking to the others. She kept to her own self. She didn't waste time talking to anyone in the family anymore, but spent her last hours in reciting her prayers, laying on the bed. She died, and so her body lay on the bed lifeless. As they prepared for her funeral, they saw all the sparrows sitting in the veranda around her, mourning her death. So finally, this is the last scene. Thousands and thousands of sparrows, you will get to know when I will be discussing the final phase of the text. You will get to know the thousands and thousands of sparrows gathered, and they were there as till the time her dead body was taken from the house to be cremated, and after that they all went away. They haven't eaten any of the breadcrumbs that were given to them by Khushwant Singh's mother. Okay, they haven't eaten any of the breadcrumbs, and as soon as the dead body of Khushwant Singh's grandmother was taken from the house to be cremated, they all went out from that place. So there ends your storyline. Some useful audio links are given. You can go through it. It will be helpful for you. Thank you everyone. Dear students, kindly listen to this audio presentation. It's a PPT based on the first chapter from Hornbill, the portrait of a lady, and if you have any doubt, let me know about it. Thank you students. Thank you all.